That is the message for today's video.
Wow, okay.
That is the message.
Did you take a shot of, like, pure sugar?
Once I get in front of the camera.
What's up, guys?
I'm Paul.
I'm Morgan.
In today's video, we're talking about, would Jesus wear a mask? We're answering the age-old question. It is fairly new. It's very new, but it's a very relevant question. And we have a clip from a recent Marcus Rogers video that we need to discuss because he's tackling it a little bit. He's got some very interesting insight.
Just want to put a disclaimer at the beginning of this video. We are not judging anyone who has decided masks 1,000% work. I am full steam ahead wearing a mask for the rest of my life.
That's one side.
And then there's the other side of masks are the worst and they don't do anything and blah, blah, blah. So we,
This is not a video to bash anybody, either side. It really isn't. And as you guys know, Morgan and I are not experts. We're not.
It's true.
We're not claiming to be. We're here just giving our thoughts and opinions. Can you hang with that?
Can you?
Love you guys.
Try not to look at the screen of us.
I have been looking at the screen the whole time. How obvious is that going to be?
It's not that big of a deal.
We got a new camera, which is great. We have this little flip-up screen, and I've been watching myself in the screen. It's natural.
It's very hard to not look there.
I'm going to try to look at you all.
All right. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. We make videos on culture and social issues from a Christian perspective to help you have hope and
be free. That was good. I like the speed of that.
Let's
just go ahead and jump right into the Marcus Rogers clip. I would venture to say a decent amount of you have heard of Marcus Rogers. He's on YouTube. He does evangelical, cultural, just relevant type videos. He made one that I was watching yesterday. There's a lot in this video. At the crux of it, the title of it is Two Types of Christians When It Comes to Masks.
And there's no way in the world Jesus would walk around wearing a mask. He was literally touching lepers. And so the wisdom of that time was what? The lepers had to be cast out. They had to be isolated. They had to let you know that they were a leper. You couldn't touch them. You couldn't interact with them. You didn't want them to breathe on you. And Jesus went out there and he was interacting with them. And he said to us that greater things we would do. So here's the question. Would you bash Jesus for not wearing a mask because he wouldn't wear a mask?
So he says it pretty stinking confidently.
And I will say, guys, like that was just one small part. We will link the full video below because he hits on a lot of stuff. But he does say later on in the video, even though you can probably tell that he's not a big fan of masks, he does say that he does wear masks into stores and on airplanes to not cause a ruckus. That said, so I just want to give him a disclaimer in a sense. But that right there, that 30-second clip.
He's very confident that Jesus would not wear a mask.
He said it, and then he really kind of went after Christians at the end. What did he say? Like, would the Christians be mad, angry at Jesus for not wearing a mask?
Yeah, would you be bashing Jesus for not wearing a mask? And it's like, yeah, some
would. Some definitely would.
I mean, when Jesus was on this earth walking around, he was getting bashed for going to the people who had the coronavirus. They were lepers. Like, let's compare it to where we're at right now.
Obviously, it's not the exact same, but there are similarities. Like Marcus said, I mean, these lepers of that day...
Right, it's not the same. Lepers was way worse.
They cast them out of the city because they all thought it to be contagious, and I'm sure it was contagious on some level. I mean, leprosy. Mm-hmm. So outside the city, the lepers had to announce that they were coming close to people without leprosy, all kinds of stuff. When they saw the way Jesus was interacting with these people, they're freaking out probably. They're freaking out. They're upset. No, do not go close to these people. You're not wearing a mask. You're going to get leprosy. And then if you get leprosy, you could spread it to other people. And Jesus did so many things that were against the cultural norms, that were against what was acceptable at that time.
I mean, people looked at him like a crazy man. They called him demonic. Like, they said that he was insane and out of his mind because of the way he lived his life, because he was so unafraid of anything and everything.
Right.
I know that there are people who are like, yes, right on. But I also understand that there are people who are like, no, I think Jesus would wear a mask, and here's why. Here are the Bible verses that I think like back my thought up. I can see both sides for sure. But I think
Jesus, he was compassionate, full of compassion and mercy, cared for the orphan and widow and the downcast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Jesus had that side to him too. Like, absolutely. That was at the core of who Jesus was. But his love oftentimes didn't look the way we expect it to, that we want it to.
Yeah. I feel like the main thing that I've heard about, like, why we should wear a mask, people are like, even if the mask doesn't work at all, if it makes one person feel safer, then we should wear it, because that is being compassionate and loving.
We're all doing our part. We're all unifying.
Yes. And
Stop Corona.
And my thought is, how many times did Jesus do things to make
everyone feel comfortable? Dude, Jesus was, I mean, I think if you looked at it through any of the Gospels, he was making people uncomfortable.
Yeah, he was calling people out of the fear. And I'm not saying that if you wear a mask, you're living in fear. That's not what I'm saying. I know people who wear masks, and they're not fearful people. But yeah, like, I would say that Jesus didn't try to make people comfortable, and he had such a way of going about it that I think, like, anyone who came at him and was like, why aren't you wearing a mask? Like, he would have such a godly, perfect response.
Direct, but still full of truth and grace even though, dude, some of his words were savage.
I think he would, like, redirect it to you and be like, my child, why are you wearing a mask? Oh, no, but yeah, I don't know.
So I think we would agree with Marcus, and that Jesus, he didn't act in the wisdom of the age, so to speak. He didn't act in the ways that were acceptable. I mean, he literally was so, like, opposite in some ways. The way he interacted with women, the way he interacted with Samaritans, the way he let Mary wash his feet with expensive perfume that people were saying, that doesn't make sense, give that to the poor. The stuff that he said, eat my body and drink my blood, which was just crazy for Jews to hear.
Spitting in a man's eyes.
Spitting on the dirt and rubbing it in his eyes. Like, he was not trying to fit in.
No.
I will say, though, on the other end, and Marcus alluded to this later in his video, but, like, if Jesus were alive today and the state law said you have to wear a mask to go into Walmart or Kroger, would Jesus have done that? Yeah. It's tough, because that's kind of where, like, even though have some opinions on the masks and we're not big fans, we typically, unless we're feeling really convicted and bold, we typically will wear them into a Walmart or a Kroger.
Yeah.
We may dip them below the nose or whatever.
I feel like, out of respect for that specific store, maybe he would, but I think, I don't know. It's one thing for a store specifically to say, like, hey, please wear a mask in our store. It's another thing for the government to say, like, wear the mask, you must submit, you must obey. Like, okay.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because you think of, like the government-ish of that time, the Jewish leaders, the priests, the Pharisees, and so forth, their mindset was, you do not do any work on the Sabbath. That was kind of like their rule. And Jesus did quite a few healings on the Sabbath. I feel kind of like in that way, he was disobeying the authorities. He was, in a sense, disobeying Moses. I mean, that's what they tried to say. He directed it to how their hearts weren't right. But he really did go against the grain, the law, in a sense, of that time. So, guys, like, don't just so quickly, and this is just my opinion, but don't be so quick to say, oh, Jesus definitely would. He would have obeyed. He would have been sweet and kind and obeyed the rules.
Yeah.
Did he obey all the rules?
No, he did not.
Was he a rule obeyer? Because his mission in life was to obey the rules.
But yeah, I mean, he was consistently breaking the rules. A lot of what he was doing was common sense. I mean, it was common sense, and it was for the Father's will. Like, he wasn't doing it just to be rebellious. He wasn't doing it just to be reckless.
Right.
But he also had no fear, and he was on a mission.
He was led by the Spirit. His mind was controlled by the Spirit rather than the flesh, rather than the things of this world. It is an interesting kind of layer to it, though. He was Jesus. So he was operating in a more miraculous way than so many believers of today, even though he did say, you will do greater things than I. So that's a twofold thing of like, someone might say, but like, he's Jesus, whereas we might be more susceptible to illness and stuff.
I just think that's a cop-out because, again, Jesus said, you will do far greater things than I. How can we do far greater things than him? We've got to believe as much as he believed. We have to have the faith that he had. And how can we have that faith? By drowning out the noises of the world and getting in the Word, by looking to the Father rather than CNN or Fox News, by, not living in fear of this or that, and just keeping our eyes on him. Another thing that I was going to say was, the Pharisees back then had these rules and these beliefs and these laws, and this is what you followed if you wanted to be a godly person and an honorable human being. And then Jesus came and totally wrecked everything that they were saying. And I think it's interesting, we listen to our scientists and our governor and our president, whoever, and they tell us these things and we have to listen to them because these are the people who know the most, right?
Science.
But then there are other people that come in and are like, no, this is wrong. They're lying to you. The news is lying to you. These scientists that are paid by these big pharmaceutical organizations, they're lying.
Here's a different perspective.
Oh no, different perspective against the mainstream media. Silence.
Yeah.
And then these guys get silenced.
Yeah. And I'm not comparing those people to Jesus, but it is just interesting how we almost have mindsets like the Pharisees. We refuse to see anything different or possibly a different perspective.
And
we're no.
What did Jesus say to the Pharisees? He said, you guys don't have the interests of God. You guys are following rules made by man.
That's good. And I would ask, what do the media outlets, what do these scientists of the CDC, the WHO, of Fauci, all those people who are putting out this information, what are their interests? Where's their money coming from?
Are we confident that these people have the best interests of the public, or is there an agenda?
And stop calling people who question the authorities conspiracy theorists or ridiculous or stupid or naive or reckless. What? We're allowed to ask questions.
We're allowed to ask, why do the scientists say that COVID doesn't spread at a riot with thousands of people, but 100-person church service is not allowed because COVID's going to spread there?
How does that make sense?
Are we not allowed to ask that?
Yeah.
We are allowed, and I'm going to ask it.
What kind of world do we live in if we're not allowed to ask questions? It's ridiculous. People aren't allowed to have different perspectives than the media or than the big, loud voices.
Go ahead and just comment below, you guys. What do you think? Would Jesus wear a mask? I genuinely want answers from Christians. I love all of you. I love the atheists that watch our video. But I would be curious, Christians, what do you think here? Christians that read the Bible, that have a relationship with Jesus, do you think Jesus would be wearing a mask or not? If you're an atheist and you want to get in and comment, by all means, just leave a little asterisk. Atheist here.
No.
What? What?
That is ridiculous. You do not have to do that, my friends.
Love you, atheists. Come to Jesus, though. What's this? We have a troll living in the closet.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow.
It's Hanny.
Hannah, would Jesus wear a mask?
Oh my goodness, would Jesus wear a mask? So I would say Jesus came to break all of the cultural norms. He literally called people I don't want to say names, but he called people out. So I don't know, you're literally covering the things that God gave you to breathe with. So
Hannah Janelle Williamson, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know. That's it. I don't know. Maybe not.
Wow, thank you for that. Beautiful.
But we're also called to bear the infirmities of the weak. So I don't know.
Oh, she drops that one on us.
But at the same time, I don't like... Okay, I'm going to leave that.
Sounds like she should have been in this full video with us. She has plenty to share. Miss, I haven't had time to prepare or think on things.
Thank you for that,
Thank you, Hannah.
I do just want to say that God's ways are so much higher than our ways, and common sense is great. Our brains, our wisdom, is great. But even so, I think that because the Father's ways are so much higher, culture than ours, like, it might make common sense. Like, well, why wouldn't Jesus wear a mask? Like, if he's gonna go into a hospital and be around a bunch of sick people, why wouldn't Jesus have stayed away from the lepers if he knew that he was gonna then go into a large crowd and be touching people?
My goodness, he went and was surrounded by large crowds, probably shortly after he healed lepers.
Yeah, just be okay with not totally understanding and not having all the answers and not being 100% sure. Like, would Jesus wear a mask? Is it like a ginormous question that we need to know the answer to? I don't think so.
And there's plenty of stuff that we can confidently say Jesus would do this.
Yes.
Jesus would not do this.
Yeah. Lean on those and do what the Father leads you to do during this time.
And those things like that we can be confident of, sadly, many Christians aren't confident of them because they listen to the world and don't read their Bible. So please, like, get in the Bible so that you can be assured in your spirit of who Jesus is and what Jesus preached, and then walk that out rather than being swept up in the ways of the world. That is the message for today's video.
Wow, okay.
That is the message.
All right, guys, we already told you to comment below, so give this video a thumbs up if you appreciated us asking this question, if it made you think a little bit. Well, guys, we love you. Don't forget to check out my vlog channel. I'm going to shout it out in every video.
That's become the biggest thing you shout out.
I'm just so excited.
All right, guys. God bless you. Have hope.
And be free. Be free. Be free. And be free.
Sounds a little weird when you say it
And
like that.
be free.
You're forcing it.
And be free.
Mm-mm.
And be free.
That's good. It's a good closing. Be free.